Willkommen zurück zu einem hoffentlich weniger chaotischen Part, denn der letzte Part war... Oh boy. Da ging eine Menge ab. Wir sind gestorben. Wie? Keine Ahnung. Wir waren einfach weg. Dann ist H gestorben. A ist gestorben. E wissen wir nicht. Vielleicht. G ist komplett kaputte. Und Jasmine ist K.O. und liegt jetzt in einem Krankenbett. Und irgendwas scheint nicht zu stimmen. Nur was? Mal gucken. First of all, it was important to establish the fact Jasmine dyed her hair. Wie? Sie ist sich natürlich pink? Okay. It was not actually naturally pink. Sehr gut. Her eyebrows were her real hair color, brown. Normally, she put stars in it, just to look cute. Or maybe that was a habit she had when she'd been younger, and she no longer had it, whatever. What I was seeing didn't make sense. I noticed her hair could sort of fall. With a hand, I curiously reached to the scalp and pulled. What was this? I could remove her hair? Underneath was more hair. Did she switch to wearing a wig instead of dyeing it? What was the point of this? This doesn't make sense. Did you try dyeing your hair another color? What happened after I left you to attend the University of Montreal? Fucking knew. I should have stayed. I squeezed my hands and fist, angry at the world. I was also angry at myself. And then underneath her pink wig, her hair was blonde colored. It wasn't brown, it wasn't pink, it was blonde. The strands couldn't lie. What the fuck happened to you, Jasmine? You dyed your hair blonde? That question, much like the previous one, was rhetorical. I had no real way of telling what happened to her, and since she was knocked unconscious, she had no way of answering me. Ist das so schrecklich, sie blond ist jetzt? Something was definitely wrong with this. I backed off and went downstairs to think about it. I removed the whole wig, and the hair underneath was blonde. It wasn't long either. It was kept short. Maybe that was so it could fit under the wig better. Why is her hair blonde? Whose hair? Ah! I jumped back in surprise as she came out of nowhere. She arrived at the station while I'd been upstairs, and she surprised me by coming out from the little dark hallway with the gate. Jasmine's hair is blonde. I don't know why. It's not supposed to be blonde. Sorry. I was insensitive. Are you okay? Yeah, I'll be fine. She didn't sound fine at all. Something about her felt incredibly strange. She wasn't looking at me while we were talking. Instead, she was looking around the station. It's a pretty spacious place here, huh? Maybe it is. So, what did you do with your twin sister? Did you bring her somewhere? Kinda. Something was definitely wrong with Gino. As she paced around a little, I pondered on what I should do. The small lapse of attention would prove to be a mistake. As soon as I showed any sense of detachment, G shoved me backwards. Ugh! I'm sorry, sis. I did it. Just for you. Now I can be with you. I heard those words as my world fell upside down. I fell onto the space between the stations. Your sister... Ah! As soon as I spoke, I knew it was over. I let it right onto the tracks, and the strong electric current instantly killed me among waves of pain. And then, darkness greeted me like an old friend. Hey, wir können jetzt mit Blau rein. Das ist schön. Electrified Bad End. Bad End ist auch noch schön. Oh, guck mal, es ist ein Bad End. Ach, wirklich, dankeschön. Wusste ich gar nicht. Wie, sterben ist nicht der Plan? Oh, okay. Da habe ich wohl was verpasst. Ich dachte, das wäre der Plan. Okay, G ist anscheinend komplett durchgedreht und hat jetzt Rache genommen und wird dann selbst sich auch umbringen. Zumindest habe ich das so verstanden. Jasmine's Hair. Ja, was auch immer das heißen soll. Aber das Gute ist, wir können jetzt da rein. Und wir können jetzt da rein. Wir haben zuerst Gelb freigeschaltet, nämlich dadurch. Und dann gehen wir mal zuerst zu Gelb. Okay, was haben wir denn bei Gelb so? Fangen wir mal hier an. Sacrificing himself so neither of his friends would have to deal with Ray, Simon teams up with the angry man and the 4 teams of 2 leave the station on the train. A and E head out for the pantry. Then Jasmine and Malco leave for the library. Finally, Ray and Simon leave for the bedroom, where Simon is given the unfair burden of searching it alone for a while due to Ray's laziness. Okay. This first active search segment takes place in the bedroom with Ray. Ray explains the situation as the search continues to the bedroom. He tells Simon about the fact his drink is actually medicine, which helps with his brain illness. Still unwilling to trust Ray with the discovery, Simon hides the existence of a strange piece of paper. After their escape, Ray and Simon choose to return to the first station and meet with everyone again. Upon their arrival, they find that the twins haven't come back. Yet after which Simon learns Jasmine was given the bag to communicate with E. To avoid wasting time, everyone agrees to have 2/3 of them continue to onward, prompting Simon to make up his mind, okay? Simon chose to go with the others, which forces a rock, paper, scissors battle between Jasmine and A, which Jasmine wins. A stays behind with E and everyone else heads out, with the team splitting into Jasmine and Simon and Marco and Ray. Jasmine and Simon leave the station and encounter finding themselves in a security room, where they hope they can finally get some answers. Okay. The first active search segment takes place in the security room with Jasmine. Jasmine elaborates on Schrodinger's cat during the search, which ends with him split up between both rooms. Jasmine, in possession of the hammer, strangely grows erratic and breaks the screens under the guise of being necessary for the puzzle. Okay. Simon uses the computer to access many corrupt video files. Playing the only working one, he and Jasmine watch the recording of Bray with the twin, which ends with the twin running out and beheading herself. Long after Ray leaves, a second twin without a collar comes into view. Scrambling to return to the lounge quickly, Jasmine and Simon see the twins are strangely fine. Simon steps away to ponder on this inconsistency. Ah, okay, dann waren wir hier, genau. Unable to make up his mind. Ich möchte gerne weitermachen hier. I felt like I was going on a crusade. Was it fair of me to doubt everyone else to the point where I'd want to search every nook and cranny of the rooms they already investigated? All of this was sparked out of doubt. I trusted Jasmine and Marco out of everyone in here, but I didn't know if I could even trust those two right now. Perhaps Marco was still fine. The room with the screens, however, showed me another side of Jasmine I wasn't sure I was okay with. It was too early to jump to conclusions, but I really thought Jasmine's screen mashing rampage was far stranger than I originally believed. Did I have cause for doubting her other than that? Not really. Still, I didn't want to be had. I want to be smart. I want to be courageous. I want to solve the situation. What about Marco? Yeah, Marco was still fine. I was avoiding the main topic, the twins and Ray. Their meeting was impossible to begin with, because they hadn't gone together. They had no contact. In fact, all the way up to the unearthing of that video as far as I knew. While I was lost in my thoughts, I saw the train arrive on the other side. Out of it came Marco and Ray. I decided to move to the side and watch what they were doing. I hid in a little dark alcove. I didn't want to spy on them, but Ray gave me cause for concern. The two of them were talking. I couldn't make out what they were saying from afar. Straining my ear, I caught some of their words once the train left the station completely. Wait to be up here. There, I need a drink. Yeah. Okay. I couldn't hear them past that as they entered the little lobby. I stepped out of the little alcove, but Ray turned his head in my direction. Crap. Saw me! He walked up to the stairs. Oh no. Did he realize I was spying on them? But I hadn't heard anything of what he said. What if he was coming here to stop me from spilling the beans on something I hadn't heard? That seemed unfair. Could he be reasoned with? I realized then that this long wait between the time he disappeared upstairs and the fact he hadn't come down meant he wasn't hot on my trail. I was just being paranoid. I slapped my cheeks to wake myself up from that. Come on, Simon! Yet, my blood went cold when I heard some footsteps behind me. Oh. Ray emerged from the door frame. I turned around to look at him. The fear I had on my face was clearly put on display. What are you so afraid of? Why did he ask me that? Didn't he know? It was obvious. I didn't hear anything, I swear. I don't know anything. What are you prating on about, oh, you dumb youth? I blinked once. No. I need to blink twice to take those words in and understand what team had. What? Didn't he come to punch me? When you left the train, you were talking and I swear I didn't hear anything. Wait. Is that what you're afraid of? Then I'm going to hit you for that. God damn, you're the stupidest kid I've ever seen. I couldn't make heads or tails of what he was saying. What? That wasn't stupid. That was... You're the biggest scaredy cat ever, aren't you? What are you doing here alone then? I was going to leave to a station. Alone? We have to go in pairs now. Yes, but I was going to search stations we already explored because I stopped myself from talking. Was it really wise to spread my paranoia to the others, and especially Ray most of all? Well, because of what? Because Okay, Simon, now was the time for your confrontation. Because Jasmine and I found something really strange in the security room. It was a recorder tape, and we have cause for thinking some people here are strange, and maybe involved with everything happening to us. I decided not to drop his name out of caution. I see. I'm in then. Huh? I said I'm in. We can go to a station in a team of 2, right? So I'm in. We want to explore a new one if you're too pansy to do so, but we can search the ones everyone already looked into. I'm also interested in catching whoever put me in here, so I can give them a one-way trip to tasting dirt for the remainder of the universe. Oh. Got any objections? No, of course not. Okay, let's look around together then. What an unlikely pairing. And yet, that was what I had to deal with. After another while, the train arrived. I still didn't know where I wanted to go. I could go and search the station the eccentrics left to it earlier, the pantry. I could also search the library Jasmine and Mark explored, but it didn't feel like a priority. Even less of a priority was the one I explored with Ray, because we already found everything there. Or did we? There was also that weird station the twins explored, the stars, whatever that meant. I thought that might have been interesting. Ich erinnere mich ein bisschen, was hier, glaube ich, die Frage war. Vielleicht. Okay. The train set off towards the first of all those doors. Come to think of it, we would have to search 3, maybe 4 stations if we want to cover our own, and we are only 2 people. Perhaps it would be best to split up. Yes, yet I had an uneasy feeling. I didn't trust Ray all too much, so I definitely didn't want to let him go alone to my friend's room. What if we found something? If, at least, I did, then I could cover for them, and keep those doubts about me. The last thing I wanted was for this to degenerate into a witch hunt for Jasmine and Marco, sparked by this man's own dubious thoughts. No matter what, I couldn't let him head to the room my friends explored together. So, made up your mind yet? You look like you're thinking a lot. I'm just wondering how we will explore 4 stations on our lonesome. Easy. Just leave 2 to me and you can pick 2 too. But what if one of us finds something really important? Maybe we should go together to one of the stations first. I'm not one to conceal anything I find. Yep, that was part of the reason why I had yet to expose the note to most of the others. Maybe I was the snake and Ray was a bear. The train stopped at the pantry. Shit, what was my choice? I didn't even make up a mind on who would go for where. Ray was on the way out of this train already. He apparently decided for me. Hey, wait! Hurry up, the door's gonna close. In the urgency of the situation, I did a very quick inventory of my choices. I could either come out on the station with Ray, or give him another to explore once he was done with this one. If I came out here with him, I could keep an eye on him. It would make our search slower, but I could definitely get him to agree with me if we found something disastrous for the eccentrics. However, if I tricked him, I could have him go to the bathroom once he was done in the pantry to meet him there later and avoid having him explore the library at all. That way, neither Jasmine nor Marco would have to come under suspicion. Was there a third option of this? If there was, I'd have needed some kind of divine sign to have gone with it, because I didn't really know what else I could have gone with. It all came down to protecting my friends, but in which way? Oh! Wir hatten von die beiden gehabt. Simon believed in going to the library alone. Yeah. Alright, head to the pantry and I'll go to the library, the room Jay and M explored. Sounds good? Then we meet at the bathroom once we're done. Yay! Neue Sachen! Before I could elaborate further, the doors closed. Ray didn't look like he wanted to follow the plan I suggested, but since I waited that long and the doors had closed, he wouldn't have any choice. This played right into my hand, to avoid him going to the library since I took it. Bibliotheca. I sat onto one of the seats, knowing full well I'd rise very shortly anyway. It didn't take too long for the train to get there. Since we took the train first, nobody would be here either, allowing me to have full reign over the findings in this place. I didn't have a lot of time, but I still took great care in ensuring I wouldn't leave anything up to chance. I took a glance up the stairs. Was there anything worthwhile to search there? The clock's open, and I can see there is a safe behind. Quickly I went to check in, but it was empty. Whatever content it had, Jasmine and Marco had them now. My search wasn't fruitful there, so I took it elsewhere. Trash can! The bin was empty. When I grabbed it and tried to move it, I realized it was stuck to the ground, bolted there. No point in touching that again, then. So, For some reason, something compelled me to check this bin again. Even though I already looked inside and failed to move it, I felt like I hadn't given it my all. With great effort, I pushed onto the bin hard enough to make it scrape against the ground a little. It moved! Applying even further pressure, I forced it to slowly rotate onto the large bolt holding it down, revealing a small compartment at the base of the bin. That the compartment was... gun. What? What is this doing here? I asked myself aloud, like an idiot, hardly able to contain my surprise. Had Jasmine and Marco found guns here? No. There was no way that was the case. They had. Then they hadn't taken them because this one was still here, wasn't it? But it was possible they found 3 guns. And if they did, maybe they took the guns together. So it made sense for them to hide the 3rd. Wait. Why wouldn't they carry it and give it to me for my own protection then? Oh no. This was definitely not good. I picked it up and examined it from up close. Strangely, this gun was remarkably old. It looked completely worn out. I was questioning its very ability to function, in fact. I tried to remove the safety, since I knew guns had that. But even with it off, the gun didn't work. All I could do was make it click in vain. I clicked a few times, trying to make it shoot. No dice. It never did. Even worse, that piece of shit actually jammed up on me. How do we open this damn thing? After messing with it for a minute, I figured out how to open it. I looked at the chambers. Empty. This isn't good. It's a firearm, but it's completely worn out. Is it rust? No, that's not that I can tell. Then how? At the moment, my head suffered a splitting headache. What? I was in the library, but I was here. Been here before. I remember it. When? How? Was it before? Was it after? I was panicking as I pulled the bin to the side. I dropped the gun and closed the space again. When did this happen? Would I stuff the gun back in there later? Or was this... I didn't understand any of this, and I screamed as my headache grew tenfold worse. Before I finally came back to reality. Ah! What is this? Was that a vision? Of the many worlds interpretation? Did a me from another world put the gun there? How would it even work? I know this is crazy talk, but how to explain this? That thing has to do with multiple timelines. What if I just saw myself from another one putting the gun here? Then how the hell could it have been here in this timeline? Hey, what are you going on about there? I went to the bathroom, but you went there. Ray called for me from the hallway outside. I quickly stuffed the gun I found in my jacket and rose up, unwilling to let him see I had something wild in my hands. Nothing. I was just angry at the fact I found nothing at all. I replied to him, but he kept moving, closing in on my location. Well, I came hereby to warn you. Uh-oh. Did you already know? Did he know I had a bit of firearm, even if it was malfunctioning? In the pantry, I found a case and I opened it. That room was explored by the blind girl and the old fort, right? Yeah, it was by them. In the case, there used to be 2 guns. They were already taken out when I got to them. What? 2 guns? Yeah. You better be careful on them both now, or else you'll end up with a bullet in your head. He made the movement at his head, mocking the firing of a gun with a poor noise. I'm going to continue looking into the others. The stars is next. Do you want to come with? I really want to stay away from the guns, but Jasmine was also there. She was in the company of those 2 dangerous participants. I think I did enough exploring. I'll fetch Jay and go into a new room. Suit yourself. What's the matter? Weren't you on board with exploring further than earlier? Times change. Now I'm a lot more interested to see what everyone found in their rooms. You said your friends didn't find anything here, right? Yeah. As far as I could tell, the place was empty. I boldly lied. I didn't know if he would catch on. Since he didn't look like the observant type, I didn't think he would notice the fact I was squeezing my hands so hard in my pockets that my knuckles were turning white. Alright. Hopefully you're not covering for them, because if you are... He cracked his knuckles. I shook my head again and confirmed I wasn't. Even if I was. Be seeing you, or not. Or not. He disappeared out of the room. Releasing my breath after I was sure he was gone, I took a moment to think about what I would do. Okay, well, I can't trust anyone. I can't trust A&E because they definitely armed. I can't trust Ray because of the video. I can't trust the twins for the same reason. I can't trust Jasmine and Marco because they both left the stuff here. They possibly have guns too. What am I going to do? Okay. Let's think about this logically, Simon. Maybe Jasmine and Marco won't shoot you, but A&E might. So I need to make sure they won't be able to. Easiest way is to rob them of the guns, but how? Suddenly, after asking myself that, I came to a sudden realization. I thought of a way to perhaps make use of this gun, even if it was useless in its current state. It was flimsy. It was hinging on a bit of luck, but it was the plan nonetheless. I left the room and took the train back to the lounge. I slipped into the lounge after making sure there was no one there. I didn't know who would be around at the bar, but judging by the voices I heard from afar, 3 of them were still around. Jasmine, A, and E. The twins had vacated the area. Perfect enough. It would have been even better if Jasmine hadn't been here, but I couldn't pick every detail of the battle. I spent a moment to go over it again in my head. First, I was going to hold E hostage. I was going to slip in, nonchalant, until I could get close to her. I had the gun already in my pocket. It was broken, of course, but from far enough, I didn't think anyone would notice the difference. With a hostage, I'd have the old man spill the beans on everything they had been doing behind our backs. There was the possibility A would be Smiley, in which case I would probably just lose. He might not have minded me offing E if he was, which meant my hostage would be worthless. I shook my head. It was hinging on a chance, but just this once, I decided to be a gambling man. Hey, yes, you're back. Are you ready to head out? Yeah, I'm ready to head out. Just a sec, I just have to... Have to what? I readied myself, about to leap to grab E. But all eyes on me. I couldn't manage to get to her. At Jasmine's insistence, I didn't have time to answer or change my plan. Fuck. It was time to improvise. I drew the gun out and aimed the barrel straight at A. Ass. Young man! He slowly lifted his arms up in the air, understanding he was at a disadvantage. At least, things were going okay for so far. I couldn't wipe the sweat off my brow, so I endured it. No one move or I shoot. I want some answers. Did you and E both take a gun from the pantry today? Alright, fine, I talk. No one has to get shot today. Yes, I've taken a gun for my own protection, but he did not take anything out. When we opened the briefcase containing them, there was only one gun, which I took. Liar. There were 2 empty shot spots. I am many things, but not a liar, young man. When we opened the briefcase, yes, there were 2 slots, but one was already empty. I was growing angrier by the moment. I thought I could use this to my advantage in this battle of wits. Okay, fine. Jasmine, take the gun from his bag and send it over. But... Do it! I almost aimed the gun at her, but that would have been a mistake. I kept it trained to A the whole time. Since his safety was off, he didn't try anything funny. I had to keep the bluff going for as long as I needed to. I didn't know when he'd realized that I didn't have any bullets. Following my barking, Jasmine reached into the man's bag to look for the gun. Please leave everything else in there, though. I need all this of this stuff. I am but an old man. Yeah, that's a lot of bullshit for someone who's in firing range right now. He climbed up and finally, Jasmine took out the functional gun. Then she put it on the ground and slid it over to my demand. I slowly lowered myself to a squat, still holding the gun at A with the whole time. Picked up his gun and immediately opened it to look at the bullets. All the chambers were full. I closed the gun again. All of this was keeping my hands busy, but I didn't like it because I was opening me up for a counterattack, but it had to be done. As soon as my gun moved away from him, the man shifted with a grace I hadn't thought possible for one as old as him. Everything happened so fast for the moment. Thinking he was moving to get to me, I backed away. However, he wasn't going for me. Instead, he was going for Jasmine. I didn't want him to hurt her. My mind made up a last-second plan. In this moment of inattention, I switched the gun in my hands without looking at them. I had to bring as little attention to what I was doing as possible. Eek! Jasmine's noise brought me back to what the old man was doing. He was holding a hostage with a knife at her neck. He looked at me triumphantly, raising a finger to give me orders to follow. Slide my gun back over unless you want to lose your friend. I am a man of my word, and I will tell you that I don't plan on faltering at the last second. If the knife moves, it'll move the whole way. I did as requested. I leaned down and reached for the gun. Of course, He knew I could have just shot him, but I didn't trust him in my aim. He probably would still cut Jasmine's throat. Or worse, I probably would shoot Jasmine by mistake. For all my focus, I was still nervous, and I had never shot a gun before. Slowly, I set it to the ground and slid it over, while that asshole wore a victorious smile. Sadly for him, the gun I slid to him was mine, not his. His gun was still in my hand. All my hopes rested on the fact he wouldn't notice. As I rose, he let go of Jasmine to grab the gun from the floor. Immediately, Jasmine backed away, putting several meters between the two of them. Don't do anything rash now. Wait, don't shoot. Jasmine interjected herself into no avail. The old man chuckled. Yes, he still thought he had the upper hand. It would have been a mistake to show my victory yet, so I patiently waited.
It's over, Jay. One of us will die today, and if S dies, I cannot guarantee you survive either.
The old man took a pause once we both emptied each other, with their respective guns. He hesitated, but in the end I saw us glaring an arrow. He was squinting to aim. It was fine, of course. His gun clicked and jammed, just like it had for me earlier. Oh, sorry. I must have mixed the guns up by mistake.
By mistake? This was entirely permitted, young man!
I kept my aim on him at all times until I pointed upwards instead, firing away to make sure he knew the gun worked. Jasmine screamed in panic at the sudden noise. See, this one works, unfortunately. Or, fortunately? Now stop and don't try anything. Jasmine, you still have your bag, right? Yes? Did you really have to? Fuck the nicknames at this point. I'm tired of them, and they never did anything productive. Slide over to me. This tension, it has to drop. Everyone, please. I don't want others to get involved too. And he has no idea what is happening either. I looked at everyone's state of affairs. He was glaring at me, but he seemed to have given up for the time being. Jasmine was, of course, panicking. Und he so, schöner Tag heute. He was impassive, as usual. One more plan. I need one more plan. If I dragged E into it, perhaps things would change. I couldn't do it by myself, though. Okay, if you aren't going to slide over, then take out a paper and write what I'm about to tell you. But, quick! She recalled as I barked at her. Then she grabbed a sheet of paper and brought the pens out to the counter. As I instructed her, she wanted the paper and then gave E the sheet.
Alright, that's enough now! What is your...
But E interrupted him by panicking just like Jasmine had done before. Okay, I'll talk. I think I know it, yes. Please don't shoot anyone. We can all make it out, so please. Close in the distance, I grabbed her shoulder, pulled her to the lounge. She stabilized before too much time had passed. Jasmine took a step forward, but I still didn't fully trust her either. I couldn't forget the doubts I had lingering over her macro. Can I at least listen to what she has to say, too?
I remained silent,
apparently attentive too. If he was interested in what E had to say, perhaps he was not, in fact, smiley. Or maybe he was just interested in my plan. I nodded at Jasmine's request. Do I talk now? I tapped E's hand as if telling her to. Okay, so, you want to know how to leave? I've been thinking about it, and I think I know how. You know how we have numbers in our collars, right? And to leave, we have to find an extra person to help, right? Well, what if, and I'm pretty sure, the extra person is just another person in our group. The number 1 collar would pair with the number 8 collar, and then we have the number 9 together. The number 2 and 7, 3 and 6, and 4 and 5 can all pair up to form the number 9 too, which means that everyone could go. I took a moment to remember my number. Right, it was 2. I pushed my thumb onto the back of E's collar, making her shiver in apprehension. Collar showed the number 7. She's got 7 out of 2, so I think this is where I go. Jasmine, step in the back. She obeyed and slid it onto the ground as I reached for E's hand and tucked her over. What? Is it time to go? Please don't shoot anybody. I quickly picked up the bag Jasmine had sent to me. The preparation to leave the room had taken a while, but before too much more time had passed, I was off. And no one moved. If I hear footsteps, I'll come and shoot anyway. Wait until I'm gone and then you can go. I looked at Jasmine then A. And if you're still stuck here, I'll come with the police. If you can, it would be great. She still held the hopes I would come to help her. Of course I wanted to, but there was this part of me that still couldn't trust her the way I'd done before. Swiftly, I left with E, pulling her along. On the way out, I stuffed the revolver back in my jacket. I went down the staircase. And I met the twins. Oh, hi. The others are waiting for you upstairs, so don't make them wait too long. They went past me. Deciding to ignore the fact I was dragging the disabled girl alongside me, I slipped out of the lobby and found the train still there. Quickly, I took it for a destination unknown, in tow. I took the first one when the train stopped at the pantry. How ironic that I was going to leave at the station that asshole and this potential maniac had explored. Speaking of, I was still tugging along. Not for much longer though. When my adrenaline died off, I was in front of the scanners. Where are we going? Please tell me. If not that, tell me something, anything. I ignored her for now. Perhaps that was cold of me, but I couldn't brush off the fact she had accompanied A this whole time. Kept their thoughts to herself and even probably conspired with the old man. I couldn't trust her, but she had to be with me, if what she said was true. I took a deep breath. Then we stepped through the scanners, and then nothing happened. There was no beeping. There was no cutting our heads off. The door slid closed behind us, but other than that, nothing. We were home free. Assuming the elevator I could see at the end of the bend was our way out. I released Dee's hand. Right now, she was a ball and chain kept me anchored here. She would get in the way. If it was truly safe to go up, I'd bring her and deliver her to the authorities, where they would decide her fate. Is it? Are we outside? Where are we? Please let me know. She dropped to sit against the wall in the relative darkness after my refusal to talk to her. Instead, I made my way to the elevator. We were on floor -15 apparently. I pushed the button labeled with 0. It moved up. I realized while the elevator was moving up that my friends would be staying here too, until I found a way to get them out there. Then I'd have to clear up this little misconception between us. After a long time, the elevator stopped at what I presumed was floor 0, which was above ground, perhaps. As the door opened, I smelled fresh air. It was coming from the staircase. I quickly scented. Bright light was pouring out into my face. Was this outside? It was blinding me. The sight of the outside world was blinding me. I heard things, too. I heard water. I heard seagulls. Everything was so peaceful. As I stepped out of the building I'd been in, I realized it wasn't a building. It's just a bunch of ruins. The staircase had given way to a desert island, covered with rubble here and there. Yes! I made it out. I made it out! It's so calm here. Woohoo! I was outside. It was over. Finally, I left a terrible place. And yet, I couldn't shake the feeling that this place was horribly wrong. In my search, I found no civilization. There was no Montreal. I could walk a few meters to reach the beach from the Rubblefield station, but there was no one there either. I walked in one direction for a while. A solid 5 minutes of walking confirmed what I thought. This island was deserted. As I thought about the fact I was on a deserted island, a thought flashed in my head. Something about the letter I. The thought was something about the letter I and how it took the second spot. The second letter was I, for some reason. I didn't know what it meant. After everything I'd gone through, I chalked it up to momentary insanity. When I come back to the elevator, I saw that he had somehow felt her way up to it and used it from the hallway I'd left her in before. That was lucky because when I tried to use it again, it didn't work. I was stranded on the island, just like my friends were stranded in the subway below us. This is a little strange, but I suppose I can work with this. Many days passed. We kept the collars. They weren't going off and we couldn't remove them. One day, I woke up and his headset and her faceplate were gone. But we kept the collars on, always. I didn't know what happened during our sleep, but everything was fine here, now. After a few days of reacquainting ourselves, she told me that she never conspired with A, that his name was Agnes, and that she had been wary of him a lot. None of it mattered, of course. We decided to settle here and survive on our own. It wasn't so bad. Despite it not being how I chose to leave the island, if I was given the choice, it was still good enough. He was cute. I never saw my friends again. They might have escaped too, but I don't know. If this place had multiple exits, were they on the island too? Somewhere? A part of me wanted to go explore and see if that was the case, but another part of me had fallen back into my usual cowardness. I reframed, and instead chose to live a happy life here with E. Was it a dream? Was it a nightmare? It had been a nightmare. This part was now a dream. Perhaps it was a dream made by a butterfly who dreamed it had been kidnapped by Simon. Together, we were stranded on an island, yet instead of a future spent in darkness, our lives were illuminated with the brightest light. Oh, that's kind of cute, actually. Okay, der Buchstabe I, nicht wahr? Das heißt, wir haben jetzt schon 3 Buchstaben. Nicht schlecht. Überraschend nicht schlecht. Der 3. Buchstabe schon. Und als nächstes können wir dann das Ende für... Ach, warte. Das Ende blau nehmen. Das, wo ich Jasmine was frage. Und sie damit überführe, dass irgendwas nicht stimmt. Aber spannend. Das erste Mal, wo wir ausgestiegen sind, war der Fahrstuhl, wo alles zusammengefallen ist, weil A halt die Bombe geplatzt hat. Beim zweiten Mal sind wir dann in Montreal rausgekommen, wo alles zerstört war. Also alles war komplett kaputt. Und das letzte, jetzt sind wir bei einer... Weiß ich genau. Auf einer Insel rausgekommen, wo halt nichts war. Das heißt, jeder Ausgang führt anscheinend zu anderen Stationen, zu anderen Ausgängen. Was sehr seltsam ist. Das heißt, jeder dieser Züge müsste so weit voneinander entfernt sein. Vielleicht dauert das Fahren deswegen so kurz, weil das Ding einfach sehr schnell fährt. Und das macht auch keinen Sinn, weil wir sind letztes Mal schon mal durch den Tunnel gegangen und haben es dann zur nächsten Station verschafft. Das wäre viel länger gewesen. Ah. Aktuell noch keine Ahnung. Smile and shine, once again. Wo habe ich den Buchstaben jetzt? Flowchart. Flowchart. Okay, wir haben jetzt schon die Buchstaben Y, L und I. Da haben wir I. I. L. L-I-L-I. Ist das ein Name? Nee. Illy. 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 Nee. Billy macht auch keinen Sinn. I, L und Y. I, L und Y. Da muss anscheinend ein Wort rauskommen. Aber ich weiß nicht welches. I, L und Y. Philly? Nee. Nee, das macht auch keinen Sinn. I, L und Y. Irgendein englisches Wort auf jeden Fall. Irgendein englisches Wort. I, L und Y. Ich meine, gut, es gibt sowas wie Smiley, aber... Warte, gibt's Silly? Nee, Silly geht auch nicht. Daily würde gehen. Aber nee, geht auch nicht, weil I als zweite Stelle kommt. An zweiter Stelle? Das verwirrt mich halt. Das I muss an zweiter Stelle kommen. Ja. An zweiter Stelle? Huh. Das ist halt schwierig, weil die meisten haben immer noch 2 Buchstaben davor. Also nur selten hat man wirklich das, wo I, L, Y in der Mitte steht. Zumindest nichts, was ich gerade weiß. Keine Ahnung, das war okay nicht. Ich denke mal, das war okay noch gar nicht. Gut, beim nächsten Mal machen wir die blaue Zone und dann müssen wir gucken, wie wir in die grüne reinkommen. Oder in die andere grüne. Wir haben noch 2 grüne hier. Mal gucken. Ich danke fürs Zugucken und tschüssi!